Too many characters is not always the best idea.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for another action film, and it's a sequel to the action film I reviewed previously. And it's the second installment of this series. And that film is going to be for none other than August 2012's The Expendables 2, where this time, instead of being directed by Stallone himself, it's directed by Simon West. What's the plot of this? Well, Barney Ross is approached by CIA man Church, who wants him and his guns for hire to go to the former Soviet Union to retrieve something that was on a plane that crashed. Church doesn't tell him what he's getting, and Church sends a woman, Maggie, with him to make sure he gets it. They find the plane and get the thing, but some may take one of Barney's people hostage, and the leader tells them to give him what they got or he'll kill his hostage. They give it to him, but he kills his hostage anyway. Barney asks Maggie what was so important about that thing. She says that it would show the location of a Russian plutonium storage mine. And Barney decided to track the man down and deal with him. They track them down and discover that the man they seek is a villain, Villan, who leads a group known as the Saints, and that they have taken all the men from the surrounding villages to work the mine. Alright. Now it's just made. Well, originally plans for a sequel to The Expendables were in place before the film was even released in August 2010. Stallone even said that he had an idea ready to go, but he wanted to try doing something that was quite radical. In an interview in August 2010, he noted that he did not have a new script yet, but it was plotted out in his mind's eye. Then in April 2011, Stallone confirmed that he would definitely not be repeating his directing duties in The Expendables, making a list of directors to serve as his replacement. Then in April 2011, the film was given a scheduled release of August 17, 2012, and a teaser poster for the film was released at the 2011 Cannes Film Festival. Then in June 2011, Simon West was confirmed as director. In August 2011, it was reported that New Image and Millennium Films were in negotiations with an unnamed Chinese distributor. The distributor would produce the film in exchange for a Chinese actor being cast and filming in China. The partnership was considered to make a Chinese release of the film easier. It would have granted Millennium Films a larger share of its Chinese revenue. But the partnership fell apart before production began. Then another Chinese studio, Lee Vision Pictures, invested in the film, and Lionsgate Films purchased the North American and United Kingdom distribution rights to the film for $35 million. Then in January 2012, Stallone stated that the film was being aimed at a PG-13 audience. Unlike the first film, which was restricted to viewers over age 17, this would have made a sequel available to viewers over 13 years of age. The reported change received a negative reception, reasonably. And then Stallone said, when speaking on Hey Cool News, that the PG-13 rating rumor was true, but before the readers would pass a judgment, he wanted them to trust him when he said the film was large in every way and delivered on every level. But the change was requested by Norris before he would take part in the film because he did not appreciate the swearing in the script. These plans for a more family-friendly rating thankfully did not succeed, and the finished film was rated R. When the adult-oriented rating was confirmed shortly before release, West stated that the shooting style of dialogue from day one was R-rated, but the visual effects supervisor said Expendables 2 was saw as a PG-13 film, with all bullet wounds being dust hits. Once it was decided that the film would be R-rated, blood, decapitations, eviscerations, and severe limbs were digitally added in post-production. Then Jean-Claude Van Damme redesigned his final fight with Stallone with the latter's approval, and Van Damme was unhappy with the scripted fight, which had his character running away and only a brief confrontation between the pair. He felt the audience wanted the longer fight scene between the two actors. Now anyway, after the whole production was finished and the movie was marketed, The Expendables 2 would go on to be released into Europe on August 16, 2012, and then released in North America the following day, August 17, 2012. The Expendables 2 grossed more than its predecessor with $310 million worldwide, and with its greatest success outside North America. And critics generally consider the film an improvement over its predecessor due to its increased use of humor and action sequences, but the plot and dialogues received some criticism still. An Italian downloadable game was released on July 31st, 2012 as a prequel to the events of the film. And then a PG-13 sequel released 2 years later. As for my reaction to this movie, I love the first film. When I saw it back in 10th grade, that was 2013. It was a year before the third one was released. I finally got around to watching The Expendables, and I loved it. So of course, I wanted to watch the second one straight away, as it was 2013 around the time, so Expendables 2 was already out on DVD. I did watch it, and what did I think of it? At the time, I enjoyed it and thought it was a fun ride, but upon rewatch, it's honestly a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, it's still a decently good sequel, but some elements just seem a bit off in this one. And it feels way too soft at times and just too cartoonish. Even for the first one's more proper gritty action tone. And this movie also kind of caused a bit of a problem for the rest of the series. Because it's like they just now wanted to cast nearly every single 80s and 90s legend of the action genre as the film's progress to the point where there was less character development. In the first film, the cast in it was the perfect amount and gave each of the team members time alone on screen, like with Jet Li and Statham's characters time for their character developments without Barney Ross. However, let's start with the good qualities of this movie first. To start off, thankfully, the entire cast are all back, with the exception of Jet Li, for a brief bit. We also get a host of new characters to just add on to the fun of the movie. The content of the film is less stark than the previous film, but it makes up for it with spectacular action and fantastic villain named Jean Villain, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. The dialogue in the film is, yes, extremely cheesy, but that's exactly what to expect when you gave a film featuring every 1980s action heroes. The film was mostly the team driving from one location to another, finding people and blowing stuff up. I can't say that there's too much of a story, but I can get to that part later. The performance in the cast are over the top, except for Slow himself, who plays the whole thing out completely serious, and he kind of should. He's the team leader in this one. We get a small bit of character development, but you don't really care. You just can't wait for the characters to mention a movie they were in. That's because this is a highly direct sequel to the highly enjoyable old-school action film The Expendables, and it's not as good as the first one, but The Expendables 2 is still fun at times, and it doesn't abandon its violent action film roots. The first 20-odd minutes and the last 20-odd minutes are brilliant, action-packed, funny, and highly entertaining, but it's a slight thing that the intervening hour is a little dull and empty. The major problem with Expendables 2 is a lack of a sustainable story. There's very little here, and what is here is like merely there to hang the action set pieces off. It's kind of hard to think about the characters and individuals, rather than the actors that play them, which is also maybe doesn't help. And of course, some other negatives though are definitely the killing of the Billy character, the revenge mission. That ensues just takes a backseat to the action. The egos and one-liners as well. The script is nicely nostalgic. It gives the main cast plenty of opportunity to throw in several gags of references to their earlier films and some well-known one-liners in an amusing and playful way, but never in a extraordinary mocking sense. At about 100 minutes long, Expendables 2 doesn't outstay its welcome, and you're never far from the fight, shootout, one-liner, or explosion. And those who were upset that Bruce Willis and Arnold didn't get much big roles in the last one, well, guess what, guys? Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger get much bigger roles this time around, and they're actually characters in this movie. They're not cameos. But the same cannot be said for Jet Li, who's just there for like the first 15 minutes. And then he's just gone. Well, while we should be grateful a compromise was stuck, any new action film star additions to this one are Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Still in very good shape in this film. And Jason Statham, definitely great values in this film as well, and quite a few other. There's also, you got Maggie Q, and Liam Hemsworth, the 4 new additions. And West manages to bring skill and excitement to things that were never confusing matters with shaky handheld camcorder crap and quick editing. And this is the way action scenes should be shot: loud, violent, and great fun. The hilarious scene with Schwarzenegger Wilson, the little car, is worth watching the film for on its own. Like 80s and 90s action fans, start to that type of film over recent years should definitely get a kick out of this. And usually, The Expendables 2 is perfect title. It's nothing more than a fan service. The movie does have a lot of action. The stars definitely made it entertaining. Stallone is still as great as he was in this film and the first film. Statham's still wonderfully enchanting. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis and Chuck Norris are definitely fun to watch despite some of their over-referenced dialogue. And while sadly John Clive Van Damme only has like a few scenes as the villain, but we get to see him and Stallone fight. And Terry Crews and Dolph Lundgren are definitely the comic release of the film. And the sequel doesn't have much utter difference to the first one except the moderated CGI and the old school action film look. There's not much going on about the plot. All that matters here is the action, but everything was paused at the second act where the hero spends most of the time brooding. It's like a generic adventure movie where there are a bunch of guys fighting, then sit down, then meet some people, fight, meet, sit until the climax comes. When it hits to the climax, the movie suddenly realized that they were sleepwalking through the drama. They forgot that it is all about the loud gunfights and explosions, so they immediately ignored Ross's brooding and let the bullets fly and the blood flow. And the way they put the action scenes to the story is mediocre. Much worse is the climax does feel too rushed, and the slam bang quickly cuts to round shots of the characters, and it's a little messy. The experience would definitely be better if you didn't care about the flaws, but the flaws here are noticeable. The move's not really about the acting, script, or even storyline. It's about the best action stars getting on one screen and blowing you away by the action. The action consists of shootouts, fistfights, explosive detonations, and knife fights all the way. All while the heroes never die and the bad guys always do. It's humorously over the top. And I love near the end when Arnold has a shotgun. He's just blowing away everybody. And it's just awesome. The scene at the end is really definitely the most redeeming part of the movie. Everyone's in a huge airport showdown with Van Damme and his thugs. Statham has the coolest fights with his knives. He's slicing dice all his way through a bunch of thugs with style. There's a cool fight between Stallone and Van Damme at the end. Very brutal fight. And Van Damme delivers his signature kicks with surprising athletic ability. He's definitely still got it after all these years. And while I do think the actors fade slightly to the end, and the endless quotes they come out with are just, well, that's still a couple later, but they're definitely not afraid here of this movie of jokey one-liners and cliched lines to boot. And definitely shout out to Liam Hemsworth here. He definitely looked confident in his role for the brief time he appears. And Stallone and Statham play the same characters in just about every movie they're in, but in this they fit perfectly. Hell, all the actors are so cliched that they're perfect for the roles. They're also able to do the serious stuff with decency. Now the movie is definitely written poorly. And there's horrible lines that usually kind of sprout from Stallone's character and kind of make every scene seem like every film he has ever been in. But some scenes are definitely a little cringeworthy. And there's some over-the-top fighting, even driving times. But the fighting as it is, it's pretty... But even though the fighting is sometimes as cringy as it can get, it's pretty crazy. It never seems bashful its way of sweeping enemies aside with any way they can. It's choreographed well fight-wise, the stunts as well. It can all seem well done, and it's definitely applying the writer for at least beginning exciting in scenes where most people would perish in 1 second. And for the benefit of the filmmakers, they do a better job engaging with the characters than in the first one. And Simon West, not sure with any personality, can definitely manage action scenes and the usual shoot, fire, shoot cinematography with more competency than Stallone did himself as director with the first movie. The problem is, as was with the first movie, is that along with being a tribute to the 80s action fare, it's also the same generic dialogue and character relationships, where it does help in some scenes, not all, have funny camaraderie with the group, with Terry Crews, Dolph Lundgren, and Jason Statham, where they can all interact. They go over what their ordeal final meal would be. And some lines like, cereal? How about Oreos? It's generally fun line. Right there. And there's other times when the action ramps up, like in the opening, especially the last 20 minutes of the movie. It ramps up being totally senseless, except for lots and lots of dead bodies and one-liners. I not pronounce men and white and knife. And it's still not technically good filmmaking, storytelling per se, but I can still enjoy the dumbness when it left more critical faculties, and except when Stallone himself would try to seriously act, even in small instances. But in reality, the Expendables 2 sometimes works best with anyone, be it Van Damme's cardboard villain, the other Expendables interacting, and even with Willis or Arnold or Norris. Norris's iconic pop culture references. And that also has a bravura opening scene. It's easy to overlook that some of the background shots seem painted in. It's let down, sometimes it gets let down then again by the awful, clumsy banter delivered with no sense of timing or expertise. Is it meant to be bad? Is it ironic? Who knows? But maybe it comes with Sly's enablers and hangers on laughing at his jokes for the last 2 decades, making him think he's kind of funny. And a bit like McCartney making the give my but the opening scene though, the opening scene's perfect. How does the opening scene go? The Expendables, still the same guys from the first one, with a new member named Billy the Kid. The team's newest recruit, and Ross's protege, are developed in Nepal to rescue Dr. Zoe hostage, and they also end up rescuing the captured mercenary, which is Ross's rival Trench. Then after the mission is over, Jet Li's character Yan, which was a big bad quality, leaves the group in the very beginning to escort Zoe back to China. And we know how the rest of the movie goes, and it helps kick off the plot. But the finale is that the beginning's not only epic, so is the finale. Because in the village, the Expendables then, once the Expendables get to this village, they find several armed female villagers guarding their children from Villan's forces, and the local inhabitants are taken and put to work as slaves in the mine, never returning, and the woman asks for the Expendables' help. And the Sins arrive for more villagers, but they're ambushed by the Expendables and killed. After locating Villana in the mine, the team assaults the area with their plane before deliberately crashing into the mine. The team saves the enslaved miners from execution, but Villana and Hector escape with the plutonium. Villana remotely detonates explosive charges in the mine, it collapses and traps the miners and Expendables. But it's not over for the Expendables, because Church and Trench arrive. They free the miners and the team, and Trench gives the line, "I'm back," and join the Expendables to pursue Villana. And the group intercepts Villana and his men at the airport as he prepares to leave by plane. Joined again by Brooker, the Expendables, Trench, and Church engage the Saints in battle. Crispus decapitates Hector, while Ross and Villana fight hand to hand, and Ross manages to defeat Villana, stabbing him and avenges Billy. And then after that whole thing is over, in the aftermath, Ross gets this new airplane by Church because their other plane was destroyed. Church, Maggie, Brooker, and Trench leave the team. Booker and Trench leave the team. Then in France, Sophia discovers a box on her doorstep with a large sum of money and Billy's letter. The Expendables depart in the plane. They propose a final toast to Billy. And that's how the movie ends. So it's a good finale right there. And the airport scene's not only epic, but also the airport scene even has many good throwbacks to these other action legends' iconic characters. You got Church and Trench shooting up baddies together. And because both of them, Bruce plays John McClane, Arnie plays the Terminator, you get these good little throwbacks to their franchises. I'll be back. You've been back enough. I'll be back. Yippee-ki-yay. Or how about when Trench and Chuck Norris's character are shooting up baddies? What's next, Rambo? Or even when Church shows up with that mini car and him and Trench are in that car. Church shows up with that mini car and him and Trench are in the car and they're still shooting baddies. The shoes are bigger than this. The shoes so bigger than this car. Shoot something. It literally feels like, definitely love all the references right there. And it even feels like you're watching John McClane, the T-800, all teaming up with this mini car and shooting baddies. Or hell, you're like watching a whole entire war of all your favorite action heroes taking on an army at an airport. It's the perfect fan service for 80s fans. And even seeing Jean-Claude Van Damme and Stallone dueling out at the end on screen is enough to make their fans happy as well, even if the fight fell a little short. Which now, that goes on to some problems as to why this movie feels like a mixed bag. Like, for one, Jet Li's character. Nothing wrong with this character, they don't make him unlikable, but Jet Li's character is only in like the first scene of the movie, and then he just leaves. He never appears again, nor do they even mention him again. Like seriously, why is he even in this movie if he's just gonna leave after the first scene? I did enjoy his lines and character in the first movie, and especially his banter with Dolph Lundgren. I do get a bit of that in his brief screen time, but I wanted to see more of the rivalry because Gunner's known to be the big reckless clown of the group, and it would have been gold to see Yang and Gunner on screen just arguing a lot of scenes with each other. That would have been gold. Like Gunner still provides some of the best comic relief of the film, though. They replace him with Maggie Q's character, who just feels annoying at times, and even Barney Ross looks annoyed with her in many scenes. And then the character Billy. Once again, nothing wrong with him. He's decent and likable, but personally, I just think this Billy kid just kind of felt useless. Because we never saw much mention of him in the first one or the end of the first one. We never get a proper intro to him, or never actually see a scene of him actually meeting and joining the team. And he just gets killed off after the first half of the film by Jean-Claude Van Damme, or John Vallon. And the movie just wants us to do it as a big tearjerker, but why? We never got proper development of his character. We just met him. How is it really that sad? They just got killed off straight away without any proper development. If this was a character from the first film, like maybe the whole plot of this movie would have meant something. No, it's just a new character who dies with no actual introduction. Oh, and I almost forgot. Oh, remember Mickey Rourke's character from the first film? He's not in this, and there's no explanation to why he's just gone. Why he just never appeared again. Like, it could have... If Jet Li wasn't going to be in the film, you could have had Mickey Rourke's character on the team, or if you're going to kill Billy off, or hell, they could have just had him be killed off. So that way Billy would actually have a role in the film. Instead, no, let's kill off the new member the minute we meet him, regardless of what people think. Then again, this movie did start off a problem with this series. The sequels just keep putting in way too many characters in nearly every movie to the point where they're not even watching the team we're supposed to be watching on screen. We're just watching random cameos to show up for fan service. Nowadays. The first one didn't even feel like too much of a fan service movie. Yeah, it had throwbacks, but it didn't overly rely on the fan service stuff. It's like the rest of the movies just kind of wanted to do that. And I feel like a lot of egos did kind of get in the way of this movie a lot. They kind of get in the way of some things that really could have worked. But oh well. I think Expendables 2 is still a fine sequel regardless of the troubles. And it's still better than anything that's coming after this. In the end, The Expendables 2 is a stream online for those who enjoy these stars and the first film and want to see the team on another mission, but don't expect too much enjoyment like the last time. Anyways, that's it for my review of The Expendables 2, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rate The Expendables 2, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you love The Expendables and want to see the team on a second mission and more Action Legend cameos, then I would just stream this one online because you won't get too much greatness like you did with the first film. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate The Expendables 2, I'm going to give The Expendables 2 a 6 out of 10. There we go. There I have my review for The Expendables 2, and you notice something right here? The Boo and Eek? Yes. I'm getting this place ready for Halloween. And, I've got some new stuff, and, I got 3 skeletons on 3 doors, a skeleton hanging on the bathroom door knob, a skeleton hanging on the outdoor knob, a skeleton hanging on the front door knob, and a skeleton, let's just... hanging right here. And alright guys, there we go. Now for I got some more Halloween decorations too. I got this little skull head. We gotta figure out a place where he is gonna go. This plastic jack-o'-lantern. I'm gonna put a little plastic candle in here. We're gonna light him up. I got this little door cover that's gonna go on my front door. The door leading outside. Some miniature spiders. 3 bats. 100 ants. Okay. Oh, and last but not least, it's a little mummy hand. I don't know where she's going to go yet, but she's going to go somewhere. Maybe like near the door. Maybe I'll try this. No, it won't fit. It's not going to fit the jack-o'-lantern guy. But, yeah. I was trying to find a plastic severed head, but because, like, you know, I'm dressing up as Art this year, and I wanted to kind of, like, because, like, I wanted a plastic decapitated head to make a bowl out of it and be a little throwback or reference to the trick-or-treating scene from Terrifier 2, where the scene that takes place after the bedroom kill. Yeah, it'd be like that. If I ever go out Halloween, I just throw some candy. I would just probably throw some candy from it to the side, like if I'm ever out anywhere. Kind of like they do in the parades. But yeah, I'm getting this place all ready for Halloween. I gotta rewatch Expendables 3. And then I gotta rewatch the first 5 films of the week. First week of season 4. I just need to find those DVDs. I have them. But I also wanted to show you something else I got from Amazon this week. Yeah. And the reason I got this is for these 2 movies. Because, yeah, which are Bram Stoker's Dracula and Fright Night. Those are getting reviews in this season as well. Yeah, but I think... Yeah, but not for the first week, though. Until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.